Welcome back to Understanding Python. My name is Jake, and today I'll be teaching you how to get user input in Python. If you are interested in writing amazing interactive command line applications, understanding input is essential. As we go, if you learned something new, let me know by liking the video. Now let's get started. The built-in function that Python has that allows us to get user input is simply called input. Now, input doesn't have to have an argument passed into it, but the argument that it does accept is called a prompt. So this is effectively the question that you're asking a user. In this example, we'll ask, "What is your name?" And what this will do is it'll print the question, "What is your name?" to the screen, and then wait for the user to provide a response. Once it does, it's going to return that value of the response in the form of a string. So we'll save that to a new variable called name. So name is going to store a string that should be their name, as long as they're truthful. And for a variation of hello world, we'll simply print that back to them. Here we print an F string, hello, name, injecting the name that we got above into the string that we're printing back out to them. Easy enough. So let's run this. In here at the bottom, we see we have a prompt, "What is your name?" And right now the program's not doing anything else but waiting for me to give some form of response. I'll be truthful and tell it my name. And we get, "Hello Jake," and then the program exits. Now an alternate version of this is to print the message first, then prompt below it. Now to demonstrate this, let's ask them their age. So first we'll print, "What is your age?" And then below that question is where we're going to ask for our input. So we'll store the age in a variable called age. And here we're just going to prompt them a little bit more, a line that says age with a colon and then a space, just so it looks nice when they see that. And then print out, "You are age years old." So let's run this and see what that looks like. "What is your name?" "Jake." "Hello Jake. What is your age?" And then down here we see we have a new line that is prompting me for my age. And here, again, I'll tell the truth and say 33. You are 33 years old. But what if you want to handle the case where a baby is using your application and it is just 1 year old? Well, one way we can handle this is within the string that we're printing itself. Follow me here. Here we're going to say s if age is greater than 1, else nothing. Now this looks good, but we're going to have a problem. And let's see if you catch it when I run this. "Was your name?" "Jake." "What is your age?" 33. Oh, we get a type error. It says greater than is not supported between instances of string and int, because remember that input returns a string. So if you want to store that as something else, you're going to have to explicitly convert that at some point. Here, we'll just do it right after we get the input. So now we have age equals integer input age. If we save and run that, then we'll say, "Jake, age 33. You are 33 years old." Run it again. "Baby, what is your age?" 1. You are 1 year old. While we're on the subject of handling different types of responses, there's another problem we can encounter with this kind of pattern. Let's say we have a user that is just hitting enter, going through things. "Hello, whatever. What is your age?" Hit enter again, whatever. Now we get a value error because it can't convert an empty string into an integer. So with this, what we could do up here at input is say input age or, and then we can give a default value. Since they want to be sassy, we'll give them an age of 100. So this just lets our program handle this single event of someone hitting enter and not actually providing a value. And the way that this works is, since input is returning an empty string, as we see down here, empty string is a falsy value. So in Python, when you say one value or another value, if the first value is falsy, then it's going to go with the second value. So let's save and run this again. What's your name? Hit enter. Hello, blank. What's your age? Hit enter. You are 100 years old. Shame on me. Now, since the values being returned are strings, all the different string manipulation techniques that are available in Python are also available to you when you're accepting input from users. So to demonstrate this, let's get a list of hobbies. And that's going to be equal to input. And we're going to say, what are your hobbies? And we want this to be a comma separated list. So in here, we'll just give a little bit of hinting to the user, comma separated. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to combine a few different techniques. So let's build those techniques up. So if we want to split a string into a list with each value that's separated by those commas, we can do that by doing split. So hobbies.split with a comma. But one user might think that a comma separated list has no spaces. So 1, 2, 3. And another user might think that a comma separated list does have spaces, just like if you were to type it out in a sentence. 1, 2, 3. Well, we can handle that both by then performing a strip on the values after they're split. And to do that, we're going to use map as covered in my last video. So here we're going to say hobbies is equal to map. We'll put a comma there, and then as map iterates over each value, we can perform a strip by doing that in a lambda function. Lambda s here standing for the particular string in this list, s dot strip. So this is going to remove any extra white space at the beginning or the end of that particular string. Nice. So we just accepted a comma separated list from a user. We split it apart based on where those commas are, and then we clean up all the extra white space. Speaking about cleaning up extra white space, let's go ahead and get rid of that extra space right there. Now we could do a number of interesting things with these, but since that's kind of out of the scope of this video, we'll just print those right back out to the user. Your hobbies are, and then we're just going to iterate over hobbies for hobby in hobbies, print hobby. And if we want to be a little bit more fancy, we can capitalize it. All right, we'll save that and run it. What's your name? Jake. What's your age? 33. What are your hobbies? We'll say programming, video games, making videos, and music. Perfect. And here we see your hobbies are programming, video games, making videos, and music. Now before we go, I'm going to show you one way of how you can make an interactive multi-choice menu. And for that, we're going to combine input and while loops to create that classic choice menus that you may have seen in the past. To make things easier for us later, we're going to define a new function called menu. And all this is going to do is print out the text of our menu. I'll go ahead and write this out real quick and bring you back in when I'm done. Okay, now we have the text of our menu. So we have options 1 through 5 that lets a user set their name, age, address, print out the information, or exit. Now the next thing we're going to do is initialize name, age, and address. We can do this all in one line. Set them all equal to none. If you're confused about how this works, check out my video on variable unpacking. There's a lot of good information in there, and I think you're going to like it. We'll run menu, which will print out our menu. Next, we're going to do a while loop. Now this is actually going to use a feature that's new in Python 3.8, which is a little controversial, but is perfect for situations like this. We're going to have a variable called choice, and we're going to use the walrus operator or the assignment operator to get our input. So we're going to pull this into an int, because if you see our indexes up there, we have 1 through 5. We want to evaluate that on 1 through 5. Then we're going to get our input, and this is going to be a simple prompt that's just the £sign with a space, letting them know to choose a number. If they don't choose a number and just hit enter, we'll default to 5, which will escape. And then the not is going to be equal to 5. So while the choice that they make is not equal to 5, we're going to go ahead and do the different things that is set above. Now to act on this choice, we'll make a series of if-elif statements. So if choice is equal to 1, we're going to store the name being another input call, and we're simply going to prompt for name. And then we can do the same thing for age and address. So we'll copy this, we'll put in L there, 2 becomes age, 3 becomes address. Now our next elif is going to be choice 4, which is going to print out the information. And here, we're just going to print out a formatted string, again using a Python 3.8 feature where we can say a variable equals something, which will give us name equals and then the value of name. We're going to separate these by new line characters, age equals, and address equals. And we'll also follow that with another new line just to give us a little bit more space when we print the menu again. Speaking of which, at the very end, we're going to print the menu again. Oh, and before I forget, let's make sure we do an elif there. Now you may be thinking, why don't you have an elif choice equals 5? Well, that's going to be captured at the very top line there. So if someone enters 5, we'll immediately escape. Okay, and to reduce noise, let's go ahead and comment out all the stuff above. If you're using an editor like VS Code, you can just highlight everything and hit Control/. And then to avoid confusion later, let's make sure we change these to all reference the proper variables. All right, we'll save it and run it. And here we see we have our menu, 1 through 5, exactly as we expected, with our prompt at the bottom, which is that £sign followed by a space. So here, we'll put 1 to set our name. Name, Jake. After we enter, we're presented with the menu again. So 2 would be set age, so we'll set our age equal to 33. Set address, we do choice number 3. Address, we'll say 123 Mockingbird Lane. And then to print the information, we'll hit 4. And you will see name equals Jake, age 33, address 123 Mockingbird Lane. And because this is a loop, we can change anything just by making the choice and then making the change. We'll go ahead and make myself 20. That's nice. And of course, if we enter 5, it'll exit. And since we set the default choice to 5, if we just hit enter here, it'll also exit. Perfect. So that's how you make a basic multi-choice menu system in Python by simply using a while loop combined with input. And that wraps up this video. Now that you understand how to get user input, you can use this in numerous creative ways. What is your favorite trick for input? Or was it something I showed today? Leave a comment down below to let me know. As always, today's code will be added to the Understanding GitHub repo, so check the description for a link. And of course, if you have any questions or suggestions for topics you'd like me to cover, leave a comment for me. To keep up with this series, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.